It's another day to be great. These your boys. We are back in the SBP. I'm your boy Prime. Source was good.
What up, bro? How you feeling on this lovely Sunday?
I'm feeling all right. To be honest with you, I'm feeling pretty good, man. I don't know what it is today. I don't know if it's the coffee, the spring water. I don't know what's going on, but I'm feeling pretty good today. To be honest with
Word, that's what's up. Yeah, I'm chilling myself. You know, it's been hectic since Wednesday, I think. Thursday, maybe.
you. Really,
Wednesday. Yeah, it's been a lot going on, running around, all that good stuff. But we good though.
yeah, be like that sometimes. Trust me, I know about running around. Believe me, I couldn't even can't.
Yeah.
We be here
We
all
on
day. You know, here's what it is.
yep.
Yeah, man. So what you been up to since last week? Since we've been on, man. Anything important
Uh
you want to share?
little of this, little of that. We vibed out on Monday. Did some R&B joints, by
Word.
request. Monday for about 2 hours. Wednesday was Beat Site for Wednesday. We had Tracy Lee on there.
That's nice.
Yeah, he came through, chopped it up a little bit. That was a good conversation. And of course the beats by the producers, as they do every week, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on TikTok. Uh Thursday we went and visited one of the newest restaurants in the city, Black Olive,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
that joint was cool. Had the R&B vibes, and they had a hip hop room and an R&B room. They got actually three floors. Yeah, listen, it's a
Three.
nice spot. It's a nice spot. Food was cool. It was. I had pizza, so it's either gonna be great or okay or not
Okay.
good. It was okay. It was fine. I'd go back. Especially since the hip hop room was closed, so the vibes were not hip hop. It was all R&B. It was fine. Though. It was good music. The decor is nice and all
Yeah.
that. Friday was July 4th, so I went with the anti-July 4th. It was I don't know if it's anti-July 4th or not, but we had the in-laws over, so we ate some food. It's a day off. Happy day off. Happy 15th day after Juneteenth. All that good stuff. But then I DJ'd a little bit at the end. Did some all unmelanated jams from
Okay.
about 7 to 9, maybe 7 to 9, something like that.
Fire.
Actually 7 to 10. Phew, that was Friday, Saturday. Man, yesterday, it was my cousin, well, my wife's cousin, but my cousin Deja's birthday.
Word.
So happy birthday, Deja! We went skating. We went roller skating.
Mm.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I
And I
can't
never
tell you
lied.
that's on some skates.
Right, exactly. Neither of my daughters have ever been skating.
Really?
Not one time in life until yesterday. They didn't die, so that's cool.
That's good.
Yeah, that's cool. But it was a bunch of us. We went skating for a little while. Then we went to a winery out your way, actually out your old way, uh, Ashton Creek Vineyard,
Mhm.
and that was good. Had a good time out there. And then the wife and I actually came back to the other side of Chesterfield for a cookout. I don't know if you know Robin Reed, or Robin Sostre is her name now. Her and her cousins, they have
I
this
think I'm familiar. Yeah.
this big cookout every 2 years where the whole cul-de-sac is involved. They
Mm-hmm.
had a live band. The DJ, actually, the DJ yesterday was Cam, one of Robin's kids. He DJ'd, but the band, I don't even know the name of the band. It was just rocking. It was very 70s vibe with the music. But
Okay.
it was a good time. It was a good time. Food, drinks, all whatever drink you want. Like it was crazy. Food everywhere. A lot of people. Good time. And that's how it's been. Today is Sunday, a day of rest. But I was up on the wheels on TikTok
Word.
at
Word.
9. So I rocked from 9 to 11. And here we are.
Nice, nice. It's funny you mentioned that your daughters had never been skating because we both have adult children, kid. Well, you call them adults children, but adult kids. They gonna have to be our kids. So,
Yeah.
um, And to think that in this day and age, I mean, I know there's a lot of things that the kids do, and you've got social media and other things, but it's just interesting if you think about you have kids that have never been skating. Like,
Yeah.
it seems like when we were coming up, skating was like one of the things. Like, whether you was going with your friends, whether you even skate, but you went to skate land and hang out, or I know even in elementary school we used to have school night.
Yeah.
And when in school would go out there and they playing all the songs, and which is crazy because I'm thinking about now and you and the unmelanated jams, and I'm sitting there thinking about like, I don't know, like Air Supply. I'm all out of love, you know what I'm saying? Like, all these songs running through my head, Living Newton John, let's get physical.
I,
But yeah.
I played that. I played the Air Supply joint Friday evening. Actually, I played that joint.
Yeah, it's funny this all this comes around. You and I talking about a little bit last week what you were going to do, and then this week, and then Nicole and I were talking about all these documentaries coming up, and Olivia Newton-John, which as a kid I was I had a crush on when I was a kid, but that's a whole nother story. But it's crazy about Olivia Newton-John. Of course, we know passed away a couple years ago now, I guess. Cancer. But yeah, it's just crazy just thinking about all that and skating, and then of course you bring up today that y'all is skating. Like, that's wild.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Skate Land over on Hull Street.
Oh yeah, with
Well,
the Hall Street joint.
yeah, yeah. As a kid, that was the joint. Then Golden
Oh,
Skate World.
it's a half store now. Huh?
Is it?
Yeah.
And Golden Skate World. I don't even know what Golden Skate World was. I just remember Golden Skate World by name. Skate Land, Golden Skate World. Yeah, 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 yeah. We went to them joints quite a bit growing up. So I got back out there. I had been once. I remember my wife's. I think before we got married, maybe her church had an outing
Yeah.
at somewhere skating rink, and I remember skating that day, but not a lot. But that was 20 some years ago, and that was the last time I remember putting on skates. No, after the first time around, my left foot was like the bottom of my left foot was like, "Yo, you needed another pair of socks or something because this ain't cutting it." It was crazy.
Is it true though? So Nicole and I were discussing this too recently. Did you still remember how to skate?
Yeah,
Did it
yeah. I mean,
feel?
I skated fine, but I didn't skate smooth. It was nothing smooth. I didn't fall. I never
Right.
fell, but uh I just couldn't. I couldn't get the speed up. And even when I thought about it, I was like, it ain't worth it. It really ain't worth it because even if I go fast, cool. And then what? If I fall, it's all over. So let me go ahead and chill out.
Yeah, now because I have it's been some years since I've gone, but I remember from the last time I went. Before then, it probably had to have been, man, at least 10 years. After the last time I went, at least 10 years before that. And I
Yeah,
remember getting out there on the skates and was still able to skate. Like, certain things, it seems like even if you can't do it as smoothly as you did when
hmm
you were a kid, certain things just never fully leave you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I'm not
Somebody,
going out there now, but I just kind of feel like if I went skating now, I kind of feel like I can still get around. You feel me?
right? Somebody asked, "Did you skate a lot as a kid?" I was like, "Not a lot, but we skated. I mean, we went skating it every once in a while." Um, but my wife's family, apparently, they used to skate regularly.
Word.
So she did. She was fine. Like she was fine. Even her parents, though, her parents were out there skating. I was like, oh y'all, wow. They was even trying to skate backwards.
What?
Yeah, I was like, y'all gotta
I never got
relax.
that down. You know what I'm saying?
Me
Like,
neither, at
they
all.
had when they was young, you had that young love. They said, all right, couple skate, couple skate. One or two things. If I was skating with a young lady, either A, she had to be really good and she could skate backwards, and she gonna be the one skating backwards while we holding each other, or we were just gonna hold hands. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? And just go around. Shout out to Chester skate, man, off of 10 out there. That's I went to school in the county, out there in Chester. So that was our main joint. But we used to hit the Petersburg joint too, and I visited Cuzzo on some weekends out there by Walnut Mall. Then of course when I would visit the other fam, then of course we would come out here to the East End and get our thing in over there too. But
That's
I'm going
that's where we
these
were.
weekend things. Yeah.
That's we were at Roller Dome
Yeah,
over
yeah.
on Williamsburg.
weekend things right there, man. So no doubt, man. Sounds like a good time, man. Sounds like a good time, man. But a few things that went down, bro, since we talked last week, and a lot of stuff in NBA free agency has gone down. We've seen players change hands. We've seen teams that really, are looking good. I think the Houston Rockets are nice. I like a lot of what the Houston Rockets is. I think they're looking nice. Hate to say, but the Atlanta Hawks made some decent moves. And I just say I hate to say because I have really nothing against the Hawks. I just don't like Trae Young for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what the New York's be saying, but you get it about Trae Young. Knicks get a new coach. Finalize Mike Brown's. A lot of Knicks Nation is more positive than negative in Knicks Nation. Surprisingly.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, because you know how Knicks Nation get. And of course, we had some folks try to stir it up on the page, namely Caesar. But ain't nobody pay Caesar no mind. BA, Brian Austin, what's good, bro? What's up, my man? Yeah, and I don't have a whole lot of feeling about it. I'm cool with it. I mean, if I told you I had mixed feelings about Tibbs anyway. Like, I don't know if I would have fired Tibbs, but I understand because Tibbs kind of felt like had he really gotten to taking us as far as he could take us, this is almost like with Tibbs, he gives you, he can great at building a winner. He did a great job with the Knicks. He's done a great job along his stops, but he kind of seems like, he might have hit his ceiling. I don't know. So I was fine with him saying, but if you're gonna make a move, one lot of coaches out there, we had a situation with Jason. I wouldn't mind Jason Kidd. I know a lot of Knicks Nation didn't. I wouldn't mind Jason Kidd, but we couldn't get Jay Kidd. So if you're gonna make a move, you go after a coach. That's one. He might have got fired at a couple of stops, but he got fired while he's successful too. So I don't know. Maybe you're at a point where you need a new voice. You had a coach source that's been on some of the better defensive teams during his coaching career. He had a coach who's been on some of the better offensive teams, right? The only thing I feel about Mike Brown is he has been known to attempt to get the best out of the bench. And I guess if you're looking for that type of change, which was definitely needed, I don't have a problem with Mike, with Mike getting this job. And I'm glad that on the flip side, I'm glad that Tibbs still getting that paper because they still got to pay that man about $30 million. Like, let me tell you what's crazy about this. I was watching one of the interviews on ESPN. I forget the guy's name, man. He's a basketball. I think he used to be a former executive. He's close with Mike Brown. He's close with other guys. He was talking about Mike Brown must have really wanted his job. So you got to think about it. All these stops that he got fired along the way, them teams owe him a ton of money. Right. This man could have stayed home and do nothing and just get paid. He could be on the French Riviera. He could be, chilling. He could be, somewhere overseas. But he decided to come back and coach, right? And Tibbs, the same thing. Tibbs out of a job right now, but Tibbs getting paid like a mother. You know what I'm saying? $30 million to sit on his butt. So, must be a life, I guess. I don't know. Did you have any feelings about Mike Brown and that job?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure how the Knicks faithful would react to Mike Brown. I figured if it wasn't a splash name, then it would be a problem. Because these days everything is either great or terrible. There's nothing in between for the most part. So I'm surprised that it's been like I haven't seen it. I haven't paid that much attention to how the Knicks fans have reacted, but I'm surprised to hear you say that it's been more positive than negative. So
Shocked.
that's cool. That's cool.
Shocked. Yeah, I'm happy with my peeps, man. With the good and the bad. And I follow a lot of Daily Knicks stuff. Shout out to my man CP, the franchise. I don't think anybody does it better than CP when it comes to Knicks talk, but I follow other very prominent Knicks pages and podcasts as well weekly. Some of them almost daily. CP is pretty much daily. I don't know if CP has another job. CP, he's on 2-3 times a day. So shout out to him and his guys, man. Shout out to Sky Zoo. I think I mentioned to you before. Sky Zoo, diehard Knicks fan. So Sky Zoo is on his on with him, here and there sometimes. Shout out to the rhyme animal, Chuck D, my man Chuck D. Chuck D checks in a lot and comes on the show, but nobody out there doing it like Knicks Fan TV, man. And my man CP, the franchise is dope. But they go hard, man. And I will say, Source, you're never going to make anybody happy, especially Knicks fans, but it's way more positive from Knicks fans, or at least folks not going off than I thought. I was waiting for it just to be, this, that, this and that. Here we go again. We back to whatever, and this, that. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But one of the other things that happened, though, was the release of Dame Lillard, though. Dame Lillard got waived, of course, by the Milwaukee Bucks. And, I don't know how surprised people were. Some people were surprised. Then there's some people that was like probably, was the best thing for him if you really look at it. Because if we go back to Dame, if you remember, wrong one. If you remember, Dame, when he first was searching for teams before this Milwaukee move, right? Milwaukee move, he didn't want to go to Milwaukee.
Right.
Like there was a list of teams that he wanted to go to, and the one team that wasn't on the West was actually the Miami Heat. He really wanted to go to the Miami Heat, and it looked like for a minute they want to try to help facilitate that. But then their organization, the Portland said, you know what, we're going to do what's best for us. We're going to make this move. And they shipped him. He ended up with the Milwaukee Bucks in that. So what's your thoughts on Dame getting released and maybe his next stop? Like, what's going to be the best fit, you think?
Man, ain't no telling what's going to be the best fit for Dame. I think it's got a lot to do with what kind of Dame you're going to get after this healing process this time around. And is he going to be your guy, or is he now the secondary guy? Like, do you run everything through Dame coming off injury at this point? Like,
Right.
do you? I have no idea. I wouldn't personally. I don't think. And we've never seen Dame lead a team to, close to a championship. So I'm not sure why somebody would want him to lead your team at a later stage in his career. Also coming off an injury, I can't see why somebody would have him as the number one option. So he could be a great great number two though. I think that could be dope. I don't know where that would be.
True.
Because even thinking about Miami, I'm like, if that, I mean, there, this is no better than Jimmy Butler being your other guy. And we saw what Jimmy Butler was able to accomplish with whatever squad. But a lot of that is playing offense and playing defense, and also being the guy in those moments. Of course, Dame time is Dame time, but I'm talking about being the guy in those moments, those clutch moments of all games, like not just a buzzer beater, but leading up to that, getting those buckets, making those plays that need to be made at the time that they need to be made. So I don't know where it's best for Dame, but it's somewhere that he's not the number one option. Wherever it is, as long as he's not the number one option, I think that's more of a positive than running your squad through Dame Lillard at this point.
Well, what remains to be seen is, are we going to get any Dame at all next season? Because
Right.
his injury happened a tad bit earlier than, the next two, with the, Tatum wasn't that far off, but then, of course, we saw Halliburton later. But
Yeah.
is Dame going to play at all would be the first thing. And we would guess if there's a shot of him attempting to touch the court next year, it would be with a contender that goes deep into the playoffs.
Mm.
Right. And then do you bring him in then at that point? Do you risk another injury, or can he be that next shooter that helps you get over the hump if you make it to per se your conference finals maybe, and you get in there? But one team that is very interesting and I don't want to see it happen, but it's Boston because I'm seeing from several media outlets that Jason Tatum has been in constant contact with Dame
Right.
about coming to Boston. And you got to think about you know, some folks with all the money issues they got. Well, they let go of a few players, but you got to remember that the way they did, Milwaukee stretched his contract in that stretch provision. So basically, it's just stretched out a little bit, and so its way is set up. They're gonna be on the hook for most of not all the money, and so Dame could actually go in somewhere and sign for the minimum.
Mm.
He could go somewhere and sign for the minimum and still get his paper, which makes a team like Boston very interesting. I would still say Miami in the mix, but then again, part of the reason him wanting to go to Miami was to play with Jimmy, and now Jimmy is over in Golden State, and I don't know how that would actually work. I was talking to a friend of mine about it, and he was like, "Man, can you imagine that firepower with him and stuff?" And I said, "Well, how do you play it if that was the case with Steve Kerr? Like, is it situational? When do you have them on the court together? Because I think back to the problems folks used to talk about if the Knicks would have signed Donovan Mitchell back then, a couple years ago when that was popping. Everybody was going crazy. So you're going to have two small guards now, you know, at sometimes on the court. And how you going to defend, especially if you got to defend somebody on the wing? Well, you bring Dame over there. Well, Dame is about 6'2", but he's still body-wise, he's not the biggest guy, right? So you go out, if you're going to run the two of them out there together, I guess you just go out there and outscore people, you know. The Knicks briefly came up because they wouldn't have to spend the money, but I said, what's the same situation where you're talking about guys are crying about with, you know, Donovan Mitchell a couple of years ago. So the Cavs, you know, I don't even think I don't know. Somebody brought up the Cavs and brought up a scenario where it could work and then some moves the Cavs could make. And I'm still thinking the same thing. Okay, now you got Donovan Mitchell and Dame. Might be nice for scoring, might be nice for NBA 2K, but that I don't think that's the recipe or the formula that you want when you're trying to contend in the playoffs, man.
Right. Yeah. I don't see anything that looks great, but Boston does sound like it could be intriguing, but we got a long way to go with Boston as far as what their squad is gonna look like next season.
Well, defensively, you think about defensively. So Tatum comes back. Of course, it won't be next season, but so we're talking about the season after. But you get Tatum comes back. You still got Brown on the squad. I mean, you got some defense, right? So it's not where you're sitting there looking at this point of um, having guards or even small forwards, whatever, who can't play defense. Now we don't know what that back end gonna look like. Like you mentioned, Porzingis is gone. My man Luke Cornett's gone. I like his situation too. I like Cornett's situation where he is now. It's very different. But I don't put anything past Boston because Boston has made things happen. I'm still trying to figure out. Boston reminds me of your Philadelphia Eagles. I be sitting trying to figure out what they coming up with this money, how they getting these people to get over here. Like I don't know, you know. So that would be interesting to see if he was to make that move to Boston, which he can take his time. What the rest of that lineup would look like, though.
Yeah.
But think about it. At his age, what his name is? 34, I think. 34 years old, still averaged 24.9 last year.
Mm.
That's ridiculous. That's beyond ridiculous, bro.
You're gonna get a bucket. That's the one thing you're gonna do.
Hey, Dame 560 plus 60-point plus games in his career, and the only two players that have done it more than him would be Wilt Chamberlain and Kobe Bean Bryant.
Of course.
Hall of Famer for sure, man. Hall of Famer for sure. But yeah, so I guess we'll be on Dame watch till he decides not to be on Dame watch. So whenever that's going to be. Saw a small bit of Lakers talking. I don't know how you feel about that.
You said what now?
I did see some Lakers talking there and
Oh
some of
yeah,
the
yeah.
NBA pages.
I saw that mentioned. I'm like, how would that even work? You know, how would that work? I
Right.
wouldn't. I wouldn't hate it, but I can't see it. all it does is transfer points that we can already get from LeBron and just leave them to Dame.
Yeah,
So I'd rather lock somebody up than have some points that are not necessary. There's no point. Not that there's no point in having another scorer, but it's not like that wouldn't be my first concern. Scoring would not be my first concern. So, and Dame is about buckets, so Dame would not be my first concern.
absolute bucket, man. So we'll see what goes down with Dame, man, whenever it happens. Um, Anything else NBA wise out there they caught you doing free agency? Is
Not
what talk
really.
about?
I mean, KD of course, but there's nothing to really, it's nothing to talk about.
That's
So
a discussion for that. I like to get one of, well, at some point, and we'll be in football season, maybe next year, whatever. But do a deep dive conversation on some of that stuff, and maybe get basketball guys in here like Joel. Um, Joel just goes hard, man. Shout out to him and Didge and Jawan and them. But yeah, my guy Joel hitting me like on the daily. It's big
mhm.
move, small news. I'm getting the message, man. I appreciate it, man, because I can't always look down at my phone and catch everything. So I hear a
Right.
little noise. I see every move. So shout out to those guys, especially Joel. Um, all right. So we done with the dudes, man. We done with the dudes for now. Let's jump over to the ladies, man.
Ladies.
Lot of stuff going on with the ladies, man. Before we get too deep in it, before I forget, today something that's going under the radar, unless you just really deep into basketball, man. But um, the FIBA Women's America,
Mhm.
the USA has been handling business out here, and they will compete today. And I believe the title game. It's title game. They'll be playing against Brazil, and Camila Cardoso has been away from the team. So we got some ballers over on the other side. Hannah Hidalgo, Olivia Miles out there showing each other love. So they out there doing it, handling business. Shout out to Flage. They out there doing things, man. So I haven't checked to see if we'll be able to catch the joint somewhere on the TV or not. I need to figure it out. But it says 8 p.m. now.
8 p.m. Okay.
Yeah, so it says 8 p.m. So I'm gonna have to figure that out somewhere. Um, I know that the one of the stations I saw that was showing some of the FIBA stuff. So I got to figure out what it is. But hopefully I get a chance to check that out, man. But shout out to USA, man, out there doing their thing. Um,
Yes, sir.
all right. But down in the WNBA, I guess the biggest talk, or other than Indiana, of course, or whether or not they're how good they are without Caitlin Clark, how or the mention of how well the team plays without Caitlin Clark at certain
Right.
times, and then of course certain members of that fan base over there taking it as a diss or a negative. They just can't see comments that people put out there. And I ain't talking about just fans because fans say dumb stuff, but I'm talking. There's been a couple of NBA and WNBA analysts have talked about how well they've played at certain points without Caitlin, and people just fly off the handle, right? So, um, that's what it is. But the Las Vegas Aces, man, you mentioned it before. We talked about it weeks ago about the Aces and what that looks like and the problems that they have. And now they're sitting here just under 500. So it's at 8-9. Even worse, they have lost. They're 4-6 in their last 10 games, coming off a crazy 27-point blowout to a team they've dominated a lot in recent years in the Indiana Fever. And that thing is just ugly. I thought by now this thing would have shaken out like by now,
Right.
somewhat. It is ugly to watch. It's like a lot of times I watch these games, dog, and I'm like, oh, they down by 10. Okay. Oh, they're gonna make a run. A quarter and a half later, they down by 14. And when they make a run and it goes back, like this thing is just ugly, man. What you been saying?
It's ugly is the right word, man. Ugly is the right word, and there's no rhyme or reason for the way that they play. You gotta say it's lack of effort. Because you look at the squad, you like, there's no way this squad is supposed to be 8-9. I think they 8-9. Yeah, no way the squad is supposed to be 8-9. Then you look at the numbers and you see Asia Wilson 24 points, however many boards, and you see everybody else 6, 4, 2. I'm talking about starters. I'm talking about people that play
She
a
was
lot
more
of
than two
minutes.
points.
It's like, what is everybody okay? And if everybody's not okay, then what is the problem? Now, if Asia happened to sit out 3 games, would they play better? I mean, we saw Asia. I can't remember what happened when Asia was out
Right.
earlier, but
The concussion, right? Is you talking about?
yeah, when she was out for that game, I think it was a game. But it's rough to see, and I wonder if it is more like, obviously it's blame on whomever, but I wonder if it's a credit to Kelsey Plum, because now this happened before. This happened last year, I believe, where they just didn't look like the team that we expected.
Mm-hmm.
But not to this level though. They look crazy out there, John. They be looking crazy out there, John. They be looking crazy out there, John. But I think there could be some credit to Kelsey Plum. Definitely gonna place blame on Jewel Lloyd just for not being uh what was expected,
Yeah.
or not stepping into the situation and
Yeah.
and doing what was expected. But it's not just her; it's all over the place. Now they think that the addition of Nelissa Smith is going to rectify the situation. I'm like, how would she rectify the situation when she wasn't regularly getting buckets in Dallas or Indiana? So, not that she's not a good player, but they need a consistent second scorer, and somebody's got to do it. Who's going to do it? Jackie does sometimes, but I don't expect Jackie to be the secondary scorer. Uh, it was expected from Drew Lloyd, and for whatever reason, it just has not come to pass.
I think with Alyssa, I think her true, it's definitely not going to be the scoring. I think her true benefit that will hopefully shake out for them will be on the defensive end, because when Asia, especially when Asia's not in there, but teams are getting what they want down low. I'm telling you, they're getting the boards. They're getting the second chance opportunities. I saw something the other day, and I'm pretty sure these numbers are right. Not I'm close, but in the restricted area in the paint, they teams are shooting 73% against them down low. Last year, they were only shooting 64.
Mm.
Right. So if you go down, if you look at their numbers now, um, it's crazy. So offense and defense, points wise, they're 10th in the league right now. 10th. Rebounds, they are 10th in the league. Source. Assists. This is the one that hurts with their point guard. They're 12th. 12th in the league in assists. An opponent's point per game, they're ninth. So they're giving up a rough, I think, about 80, 81 points a game. So, like, numbers are down all across the board for them. Like, they look terrible, But I think Nalissa will help eventually defensively and on the boards. But they definitely need another scorer. They need somebody to take up the slack. You've got, you brought Jewel over. I'm sitting there watching her have a 2-point game the other day. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Jackie Young, the highest paid player this season in the league, she just don't look like she just. I don't know. It's if having new teammates or losing certain teammates, if that's what it is. Like I don't know. We look at the depth. Look at the depth on this thing. So I don't know how much they would miss somebody like a Colson, who gave him quality minutes, but just also was kind of one of the cohesive pieces down there, not only the Joker.
Right.
But then you look back on that roster last year. So you had Clark is gone. Lisa Clark is gone. There's a vet that's won it. Tiffany Hayes. I think Tiffany Hayes hurts more than people think. People seem to forget she was the sixth, what they call it, the sixth person
Mm-hmm.
of the year. You know, she was giving them about 8 or 9 points off the board, which was about half of what the bench was averaging per game anyway. So you lose those people. You were thinking you're going to have some help down low to fix some problems. I thought Kitley would pan out. She's gone. Don't know if they're going to get in this point when and if they're going to even get Cheyenne, Parker-Tyson in the point. If so, what is it going to be like for her? Like when she gets there, I don't think she just too long had the baby. So
Right.
It's just a lot, man. It's just a lot for this team. And then you watch Becky Hammond, and she's saying the same thing every time they lose. It's about heart. We're not displaying any heart out there. We no focus. Other days she says it's a lack of professionalism.
Yeah.
Like,
Unprofessional playing like that.
yeah, it's just crazy. I never thought I would see, this squad, this talent sink as low as they have. Maybe if you're going to tell me they're not going to be as good, okay, things happen. There's a decline, but they look horrible, man.
Right. That's the thing. And that's the thing that because this squad at any one time could turn it on. You think
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, we're looking at it, we're not expecting it, but we know that they can. So they're still scary, but it's very frustrating. Frustrating. And I'm going to see them Thursday. And
Word?
yeah,
Okay.
going to see them Thursday in DC. So
Uh-huh.
hopefully
So
today they can get on track. They play Connecticut today. Maybe
funny
today
you
they
said that because I came very close about a week ago to shifting some things up at work and say, I said, hey, I said, if I ain't got to drive, you know what I'm saying? So I've been feeling all right for the most, if I ain't got to drive, and a buddy of mine is also going to the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he gave me first dibs on the tickets. And I was really on one of the tickets he got, and I was really thinking about going, honestly. But some things has happened at work, and I could still do it. But I got some other things I'm trying to shift, and I'm like, I'll wait. So I'm not going. But I really made that decision a couple of days when I wasn't gonna go.
Mm.
Right. But yeah, I hope you enjoy yourself down there, man.
Yeah, me too, man. Family trip they got. I think this was maybe a Father's Day gift. Maybe no for my birthday. They
It's at the
had
what's the
Christmas.
name arena, right? The sports and what's the name of it? I
Well,
haven't looked.
it was at George Mason.
Okay, so George, okay, you good. Now I was gonna say you finally get to see what I was talking. Remember I told you when I went
Yeah.
last year
Uh-huh.
and we were rolling through the hood, bro. Like I'm like corner
Yeah.
stores, bars on the windows, and literally just a handful of blocks behind that, you know what I'm saying, is the arena.
Right.
And it looks nothing like it does 3 blocks down this. You know what I'm saying? It's the
Yep.
craziest thing. When they're like Martin Luther King and all that, craziest thing. And that arena is nice. But it's
Yeah.
just a matter, you wouldn't, if I was to tell you, oh yeah, you go down here, you take this left, and you go by the corner store, you go by the other corner store over there where Miss Jeannie play her numbers at, and you go through the back, you know what I'm saying? And in the arena back, you wouldn't believe me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So yeah, fortunately or unfortunately, I won't be going there. It's been moved to George Mason, so
Okay.
I'm going to check him out up
That's
there.
what I mean.
Looking forward to it. It's a little closer too, but I'm looking forward to it. Excited to because I haven't been to a WNBA game, so finally getting to one.
This your
And
first one?
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
why I thought you went to one before.
Nah,
It's love, man. It's love. I'll say this though. I didn't, I don't want to overstate it, but I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I've been to quite a few NBA games in my life. And I don't know if I've seen the passion that I've seen, in the people that truly love the WNBA, the way
right.
I see it at those games, man. Like you really see. I mean, DC has got a nice fan base as it
Hmm.
is. I mean, every time I've gone, and usually, I'm picking the big games Well, star-studded games. You know, when Candace was playing, I'm there. I didn't care if she was coming from LA. I didn't care if it was Chicago. I didn't care. Candace was coming to DC. I was there. You know, I've seen I saw the Aces once. Who was it? I saw somebody. But yeah, I've seen a lot of games. Let's just put it that way. I've seen quite a few, you know, but yeah, it's the passion in those games are great, man. I mean, they're great.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I know it's going to be live in there. And Washington, you know, Washington's got a nice squad, and
GT.
the youth are doing their thing, coming together. So it's a little scary for the Aces, a little scary. But like I said, hopefully they get on track today against Connecticut. Then they play the Liberty on maybe Tuesday, and then to DC after that.
Yeah, man, you're gonna enjoy that. You are definitely going to enjoy that. Yeah, I was giving out nights. I don't know if they're gonna do it since it's at Georgia, but I guess they will. But like when I say they DC they show out for the Mystics, man. I'm trying to think of the last time I went to a Mystics game and they weren't just giving out something free. Like I've gone to see, you know, I'm Candace and them coming and I walk in the door and they already giving out free Mystics t-shirts. You know, I went to another one, they were giving out free posters. I went to a joint when they gave it a free cup. The last time I went, was it last summer, I think? It was hot outside. Last time I went down there on the solo. Free t-shirt. Of course, I'm going to support the women. I don't care what the squad is, but I don't think I've ever had either one of those t-shirts on because as soon as I walk through the door, Nicole claims it. So, so they get worn around the house and everywhere else we go. So I don't think I've ever had a Mystics t-shirt on.
Well, thankfully, if it is a t-shirt game, everybody will be there. So we'll all have our own shirts. So
there you go. I think the last time she went with me to a Mystics game was me, my boy Fred and his wife. They weren't giving out t-shirt. I think that was either the cup or the poster night, I believe. So it wasn't like she could get her own t-shirt.
Right.
So the two times I went, the last 2 times I went, that they were giving out t-shirts. It was just the fellas one time, and then I can see. Remember, I went solo.
Right.
Last year I went solo. So to get down there and see them do their thing. So interesting, man. But have a good time. Yeah. So, but yeah, these Aces, man, they got to get on point, man. They got to get on point.
Amen.
They got to get on point, man. And we think about, well, it's been a few years. What we in 25, so it's hard to believe it's been 7 to 8 years. But their fan base expects so much from them. You know, everybody has a different theory on what the problem is. Things have been right since the allegations in the Hamby situation, and that's what Becky gets, and it's crazy over on the not just the WNBA groups, but a lot of the Aces fan pages. I'm probably on about 3 of their fan pages, I believe, 2 or 3 of their fan pages. So, but you think about a team with 3 years in a row, Source had the #1 joint. We went Plum, Asia, and then Jackie.
And Jackie, yep.
So they're expecting a lot, man. They're expecting a lot, and I get it. I would too.
And bringing in Chelsea as well.
Woo. So. Woo. Still time to turn it around though, but they need a hug. They need all types of stuff, several hugs.
Yeah, definitely.
They have my girl out here scoring 20 plus, and y'all chipping in 2 and 4 a piece. I can't do it. Can y'all go?
I just realized I got this shirt on.
Yeah.
I might have to wash this joint and break it back out on a Thursday. I might need this for Thursday.
Yeah, can y'all go get Tiffany Hayes back? Is there a way y'all can get her back? I mean,
hey, for real. Tiff out there balling in Golden State. So
yes, she is.
They doing their thing.
Yes, she is. Yes, they are. So that's tough. You know, last week, man, we saw of course we saw my girl go out there and get her number retired.
Yep.
Candace Parker out there in LA went out there and she got her number retired, man, in the ceremony. And it was nice. You know, Lisa Leslie front and center. Lisa Leslie even spoke. If you go back, there's you can see the whole thing that went down on that. And of course, that's the first for her because Chicago about to have a ceremony for Candace next month.
Mm.
And in August. So, but just as importantly though, Sue Bird, man. Sue Bird is about to become the first WNBA player to have a statue.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. Not crazy because I think she certainly deserves it. I think she certainly deserves it. Now, if nothing else, we're not talking about somebody who's that spent 21 years with the same organization, 13 years, as an all-star, got Olympic medals while she was there representing the country, and of course
Right.
that looks good on the team. So I think she's definitely deserving. But then of course topics come up later and people talk and we talk about, well, who's next, right? And to me, when we're talking about giving WNBA players statues, it's always kind of a tricky thing because we're used to NBA teams staying in the same place because of the success of the league. Over the years, it's very little movement, and we've had teams move, but the WNBA is still figuring things out. Even though we just got this big boost in the rise of the women's game, no matter who you attribute it to, it's still kind of a tricky thing because I always think about, well, what do you do? So if you're fortunate enough to have your own arena and you put that out there, what do you do if the franchise is no longer there? Now, granted, because if you think about it, if you take a team that was in one city and they're there for how many ever years, and all of a sudden that team isn't there no more, or it's in the team, the team decides to pick up and move to another city, another state, and you change your name. You see what I'm saying? You change the whole deal, like Tulsa and all of them did. What becomes of the statue? Like,
True.
What arena gonna have? If the arena's still gonna be there, I guess you can leave it there. You know what I'm saying? You can leave it there, and if the arena's gonna be there, and they're gonna use it for other things, or whatever. And I know there's things you can pick up and move and do with the statue, but it's just always a tricky thing because we're talking about stability.
Yep. No doubt. No
Yes.
doubt. And that's a franchise that's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
All things.
Seattle, New York. We know what time it is.
Right.
LA. Is we know certain teams are just gonna be there. Just no taking away. But then you got other squads, man, that we're used to. Have been around for a while. Some of them since inception, some of them haven't, but have been around for a while. And our thinking is that, oh yeah, but it's a sports town. It's gonna be there.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what happens. And it's not the case because we've seen that was happening like in Philadelphia.
Right.
Yep. Philadelphia, prominent football team, prominent basketball team, prominent MLB squad. And we don't have a women's basketball team in Philadelphia. And then just now when they announced they put their stamp on the 3 new franchises.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be, starting, next year through 2030. There's no announcement of Philadelphia, official announcement, and folks are up in arms about that. And that's still kind of a funny one to me, though. You would think, you know what I'm saying? In your mind, you would think, oh yeah, man, shoot, Chicago got this. Come on, but Philly about to get this women's squad, cracking. We ain't there yet.
So yeah, but they close. I think it's close to bring it back. I don't know if they bring back the Rage, but
yeah,
I think they're close.
I want them to get a squad more than anything, and I would like definitely. I'm still on the Tennessee thing because I just think it's just so much. And Candace and them are in on it, and they got a nice group. of people that want to make that happen. I think Tennessee, with everything, not only with the prominent, football team, but just the basketball history. And especially if they can land, they're one of those franchises that, at some point it ends up with a marquee player or two, they're gonna support.
Hey, I'm Philly's got a squad in the expansion, right?
So last I saw, they were on the expansion, but then I saw that it wasn't official, like it wasn't finalized.
Oh, because I thought they were the third. It was three new teams on deck:
What do we have? We have
Cleveland,
um,
Detroit.
and Portland, right?
Nah, Cleveland, Detroit, and Philly. Philly's the
Philly.
third one.
So I might have missed it then, because I thought I could have sworn I saw that I was looking at something not too long ago, and they were saying that Philadelphia was looking like official, and Tennessee was close. The Tennessee thing didn't materialize, and that Philadelphia, something had happened in Philadelphia where they didn't finalize it.
I mean, all that trash they got going on in Philly right now, that might be reason to back up because it's kind of crazy in Philly right now. They got trash piled up everywhere in the city. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But this is Cleveland in 2028, Detroit in 2029, and Philly in 2030, I believe.
Okay, so I'm looking back now. So so this is what I missed. So they're giving them the stamp of approval. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And they said just no official name. Okay.
Right.
All
Yeah.
right. So
I was like, I thought I was tripping. I was like, maybe I didn't
yeah, this
read
is what they
it.
announced it. I remember I was watching something. I was trying to think of what it was on. WNBA, and then something about the previous group that's supposed to hit it. Something happened. I don't, and I guess they rectified it. And Philly went from the forefront, and this was just weeks ago. I mean, not too long ago, from the forefront to now, looks like they had taken a step back. So maybe they, yep.
This was earlier this week. This was earlier this week.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. So
okay.
Yeah.
So the next two are Portland and Toronto, right?
Toronto, the Temple. Yeah.
Okay.
Which
So
they're
that's
already
14.
starting a campaign on around social media in Toronto for some things. So.
And Portland fired the GM.
Yep.
Off rip. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's scary, actually.
That's right. And it's right that Cleveland was proposed. So yeah, you're right. So
yeah, so we got Cleveland, we got Portland, Toronto, or Toronto, Portland, whichever, same.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cleveland, Detroit, and then Philly in 2030. So that's in 5 years.
When you think about Sophie's comment, so what was crazy was when I first saw it, when I watched it, I knew immediately that people were gonna fly off the hook, right handle, because when I read it, I'm like, uh-oh. So let me watch this first. Now, if you watch the interview she had in its entirety, I knew what she was really getting at, but the way she said it, I said she about to catch some heat for this, And I had some fun with it too, because I found the old video of Caitlin Clark back when they were in the NCAAs, and she was talking about how excited they were to be in Cleveland and playing, going through there and talking about all the fun they had and going to the rock and roll joint and all this stuff. But I knew the way that Sophie said, I said, she about to catch some heat for this. I said, because you making it seem like we're just talking about the fan base in general, not just the players or how they would feel about playing and playing in these, because if you're talking about the fan base, I say, well, you totally, far in right field, left field, whatever you say, because you're talking about the fan base. It's stuff to do. I know it's Cleveland. I know it's Cleveland, but if you're just trying to go see a WNBA game, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's things around in Ohio or close by that you can do. I mean, if you're talking about actually was it Cincinnati? It was wherever it was.
She said Cincinnati.
Yeah, she said Cincinnati. But you're an hour away from Pro Football Hall of Fame. Like if you're gonna make a trip, you know what I'm saying. If you're gonna make a trip somewhere to go see somebody play for whatever reason, there are other cities that are not the most exciting places in the world, but will have things nearby.
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland. You know, Cleveland got they have a football team, basketball team, baseball
Yeah.
team. So ain't
Mhm.
like the WNBA would be the only thing there. And even if that was the case, there are places that uh that are doing well in those situations. We still want a team in Tennessee, of course. Like that's still a thing. I'm sure that will be a thing at some point. But she talking about Miami, like she was just talking. Basically, she was just
Here's
talking.
the thing about the
This
players mostly.
this is this is this is what happens when people that don't need to be talking, somebody sheds a light on them and they start talking because they don't know what
Yeah.
they're talking about. She had no idea what she's talking about. She just talking. Uh, but you get light that wasn't based on your actual play.
Right.
He is thrust into the limelight by certain people, and then you talk, and this is what happens. She tried to clean it up though. She tried. Oh no, I would never talk about the Midwesterners and the
Yeah.
hardworking people of Middle America and all that type stuff. I'm like, you just did actually, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. I
It is.
think she would have if she would have kept herself out of hot water. If she would have listened to, she would have heard herself speaking and put a little more emphasis on the players, right? And during that conversation, and it might have gone a little bit smoother for her. Now, people still won't take offense to certain things.
Right.
Why would they want to come here? Why wouldn't they want to play here? But a lot of her conversation kind of centered on just basketball, being in those places in general.
Hmm.
And who's going to want to go see that? Like I don't know how many people are going to want to go. If you were to put a little more emphasis on the players wanting to also come play for those cities, in those cities, and then I think shed
That's
some of the heat.
but she's also jumping the gun on wanting. Listen, I love the WNBA, but y'all got to relax. Wanting
Yeah,
to play in certain, you better, dog. There are people that are good with no job. You talking
yeah,
about wanting to play in the city? Be glad it's teams. Like, what are you talking
exactly.
about? That's just silly. That's just silly.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely silly. Watch what you say. Um,
Yeah, it's crazy.
but on the statue issue though, so we talked about not an issue, but the statue situation.
Yeah.
Talked about Sue Bird becoming the first player to get one. She's also about to be inducted into a crazy Naismith class.
Mm,
It's crazy. Like I told you before, I'm probably going to watch more of this induction ceremony than I have any other because the
right.
class is crazy, men and women. Probably the best that I've seen, in my opinion. But what other players, so it's like, what other players do you think that are out there that could eventually, or at least are deserving of getting a statue from a WNBA team? And it's kind of tricky when you think about this. There's been some outstanding basketball players that have done a lot of things that could be in the conversation for maybe even getting their jersey hung, inside an arena. But when we're talking about putting a statue out,
Hmm.
uh, what other players do you think this should or could happen for?
That's tough. That's tough to say. It goes back to the league expansion and teams being there and not being there. And when you talk about statues, statue, I mean, not that statues can't be taken down, but statues are a big deal. And like we said, Sue Bird getting one, we get that. Makes sense from her as a player and the city standpoint. Unfortunately, there's no team in Houston, but if there was, Cynthia Cooper would need a statue, but I would not be mad at a three-person monument.
We here.
That that would
Yeah,
be crazy. That would
yeah.
be crazy. With Tina Thompson, Cheryl Swoops, and Cynthia Cooper, that would be crazy to see. Then Diana Taurasi, I mean, I could see that happening. I could also see Maya Moore happening. Some would argue her career wasn't long enough, but look at what
Shoot.
happened. Look what happened in her career, and then you will know that she could definitely. have a statue, and nobody would be able to bat an
Four-time
eye.
champ.
4 out of 9 seasons. What? It's
Hall
crazy.
of Famer. This 2020 for this winning the Hall of Fame already. You know,
That would be crazy. But yeah, Diana Taurasi, three joint, the trifecta, Sue Bird, Maya Moore. Uh, those are the ones I can definitely be like, yeah. And you if you want to argue Lisa Leslie, I wouldn't be opposed, but I don't know. I don't know.
well, I don't. I think Lisa's got it. I think Lisa gets it because she's a two-time champion, right? Two-time champion in LA. I mean, she was really the face. We want to talk about, the league getting out there in the league, in the early years of the league. She was the face, one of the faces of the game. She was definitely one of the most noticeable, recognizable, two-time. Not only did she win you got to remember, not only did she win 2 titles, she was the MVP of the finals both times. Like, what a time to be a LA Spark.
Right.
LA, we're talking LA here. You know what I'm saying? Back in the Lakers was pop. Everybody, LA, the Lakers, Jack Nicholson, the Sparks are here. So I think, to me, I think she's a shoe-in. I think she's a shoe-in. I think she's got to get one. I think she's got to get one. And then if you want, go ahead.
Does your girl like
Candace?
Yeah.
So I think if you're going to put, I think you do. It's tricky, but she spent the majority of her she was drafted by the Sparks. She spent a majority of her time with the Sparks. She came in, she played, was tutored by Lisa Leslie.
Yeah.
She got a ring there. Majority of, she's still very high in a lot of the categories there. The top 3 and in like 3 or 4 categories there. And I think you got to.
Rookie of the Year and MVP. Only one.
Same season.
Yeah.
You just retired a jersey. I mean, not saying the jersey retirement is a definite, but I mean,
statue, bro. Statue is crazy though.
Second in rebounds in franchise history, 3rd in points in our franchise history right now. You know what's even crazy that I think, if thinking about that she's 3rd in points in franchise history.
Yeah.
Do you know who second is? Someone that won't get a statue.
Yes, I do, and I'm blanking on her name. Oh, post player. What? Oh, what is her name? I might be wrong. So either way, you can go ahead.
No, I don't think you got it, because I don't think you would probably. You probably remember the name.
Who is it?
It's NECA.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
NECA is right there, right up under Lisa Leslie.
And she's 8th. She's 8th in the league, right?
Yep.
NECA is 8th all time in scoring.
Yep.
Right now.
So I think Candace got to get it, man, because this is my thing. Yeah, one title there, right? But we're talking about, to me, Candace Parker is one of the greatest players to ever play the women's game, even if she doesn't win a title in Chicago. I think the Chicago thing was just, y'all pouring salt on the wound down. Like, this is crazy. She's right. One of, some will argue she's the GOAT. To me, you have a hard time convincing me. You'll never convince me she's not one of the top 5 players that ever lace them up. You'll never convince me that she's not, at least in the WNBA. You'll never convince me that she's got to be in that conference. We can argue the Maya Moores and what Cooper and them did. It just, I don't think people remember they remember how great Candace Parker was, but then you forget stuff until you go back and watch all the old highlight reels. You go back and look at some of the game for games, and you're like, I'm out here telling you this is one of the greatest basketball players ever, and I'm still doing her a disservice, but not just saying how much. It's one of those things that you think you're doing her justice, and you go back and really. And I'm sitting here like, we ain't talking about the college career. That's just something different. I don't forget all of the dunking videos, but I'm just talking about what she did.
Right.
But if you want to add to the Sparks thing, right? So Lisa Leslie was the first person to dunk in the WNBA, right?
Yeah.
Candace was not only second, but she's the first person to ever dunk twice in the same season. She did it in LA. Like it's a lot there, man. It's a lot there. It's a whole lot. I think so. I'm giving both of them a statue in LA, man. That's a statue that's gonna stay there for a while. LA ain't going nowhere.
Oh man. So you got Magic, Shaq. I can't think of who all the statue. Kobe,
Yeah, Kobe.
Lisa Leslie, Candace Parker.
Yeah. I'm doing it.
Ooh.
I'm doing it. You're talking, yeah. I'm taking ownership because if I'm LA, I can be like, yeah, she might have got a ring over there with a couple of y'all when she was with us. She won her first ring with us. And she did all this. She's wanted to go. Nah, she going up in front of my joint, straight up. Like, I'm not, it's not biased for me. I mean, it's to me, you gonna my two favorite players to ever lace them up. It is a little biased, but it's not. Both of them went to Tennessee, and that, she was one of them. The other one was Shamika Holdsclaw. I mean, Holdsclaw was different. But I'm just saying, if you really think about what she meant to a franchise, because she had to hold it down once Lisa went on. You know what I'm saying? She had to hold it down when they went through and they found success and got that ring. Candace got it. She got to go up there with Lisa. I think her and Lisa got to get statues, bro.
I was thinking about Penny Tola, by the way.
Penny Tola.
That's what I was thinking about.
Shout out to Penny. Who else we got? So you said Maya, of course, Taurasi. I think that's unquestioned. That's 20 seasons with the same squad, 3-time champion, 2-time finals MVP. Your man's put the stamp on her. Kobe called it a white mamba. I'm like, there was a time you could argue that she was the best player in the game. That you can really have that argument. I don't think that's a question. I totally agree with you on Houston. The first thing about Houston is with these folks now, these generation of fans won't get. Of course, they got their problems with Cheryl Swoops, right? 4 times. But the fact that they're out there winning these rings and Cheryl Swoops was being argued at certain points is the best player in the game. But Cynthia Cooper was the one that won MVP every time. And people don't. She didn't come into the league till she was 34, dog.
34.
Had a short WNBA career. Comes in, we started winning titles.
She was out there cooking everything. She was out there cooking everybody. Cynthia Cooper time was crazy.
And I hated it. I don't feel that as way about them, about her and Cheryl, because I was fans of them in college, especially Cheryl Swoops. People don't remember Cooper. As great as Cooper was, Cooper kind of didn't have the college career that you think. If you go back and look at all that talent that they had on that squad and what they were out there doing, for her to be talked about as one of the greatest to ever do it, you would think that she had that monster career. She was like the person everybody was talking about in college. She wasn't, right? People didn't really start to figure out how good she really was until she got out of there. She did some overseas stuff and then she played in the league. So that's crazy to think a player like her comes in and gets all these finals MVPs, right?
Yeah.
We want to talk about is Swoops. Like, that's another thing that you don't really realize. You think you're doing somebody justice, and you go back and look at everything and the totality of their career, and you'd be like, man.
You can't say enough. You can't say enough about about Cynthia Cooper. You can't say enough about Cynthia Cooper. You have to show people. You
Yeah,
can't tell them. You got to show them.
man, I love Coop, man. Some of the interviews and podcasts that I've seen her on over the she tells some really good stories too.
Oh yeah, she talked. She talked that talk too.
Yeah, she gets some really good stuff. I would love, like, if she was a coach in like a high school team or something, I would
Mhm.
love for my daughter to play for her because you're gonna get that game.
Right.
You're gonna get that game. You know what I'm saying? Certain coaches can talk to players and get to them and give them to feel what they're saying. I think she is one of them. I'm gonna give you another one though. And I'm not trying to be biased on this one either, but she will get recognized as one of the best to ever do it, but still doesn't get the amount of props. I think one, because of where she played, even more so now. But two, they just got the one ring, but she brought it to them. I'm gonna consider putting my girl Catchings out there. Tamika Catchings, man, in Indiana, man. Let me
Yeah.
tell you something. You know what I'm saying?
Problem.
You got Finals MVP, you got League MVP, you got 5 times Defensive Player of the Year in your
That's
career.
crazy.
5 times, 5 times, 10 All Stars.
One, two, three,
Like,
four, fifth.
yeah, yeah. If I'm them, I know they already marking the spot out there where Caitlin's is going in year, you know, 10, 12 years before she gets there, right? Um, but you I think Catchings got to get one, man. She, the
Mm,
heart and the dedication she put out there. She was a player that left it all on the field, on the court. She was Indiana. I mean, they had some good players come in and out of there, but when you thought about Indiana, whether they had a good team or bad, I'm like, yeah, you can to Tamika over there. She felt like one of those players that even though she had some good talent around her from certain years, but when you think about it, you kind of think about her being out there on the island. You know
right.
what I'm saying? Ain't no
Her.
island. I don't think there's no islands in Indiana, but got farmland. But she'd be on the farm by herself. But I think you got to consider giving Catch a statue out there in Indiana, man.
I don't.
Kayla can be number two.
I don't argue that. I don't disagree with Tamika Catchings. I can see that. I can see that being a thing.
Yeah, I think she's got to get strong consideration, man.
I can
Strong.
see that. I can see that being a thing. Yeah.
I'm hoping that's because I'm bringing that up. We about to get that announcement sometime now since they putting up style. We get that announcement within next year. They gonna give her one.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, y'all hook my girl up, man. Now we look towards the future. Because the only other person, I don't know if you give her one. The players is not playing anymore, but you talk about somebody that meant a lot to a franchise. When we're just talking about, you know, a lot of things, man. What it meant to a lot of young folks and aspiring basketball players, even players who was coming from overseas. And granted, I know there were other people on her squad, but just a consideration, just a small bit of consideration for Katie Smith. Um, Katie,
Ah,
Katie Smith was a dog. Like people don't remember, man. Like she was in Detroit and then she spent 6 seasons in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
But
Yeah.
there was a time when you couldn't talk about snipers. Like her jump shot was crazy. Like I just knew 9 times out of 10 she letting it fly. That about to go in. Right. That was
Hmm.
a time period, man, for like 2, 3 seasons. Like Katie Smith was like that girl. Like she was crazy. So I don't think it would be a crazy um, you know, situation of some kind of way she found her way um to a statue somewhere, or at least put something inside the arena, something.
Right.
Yeah. As
I can
far as
see that.
that playing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If there was a I mean I would say Maya would be number one and Kay would be number two, but
Yeah.
I could see that being a thing. Um is that the second squad you would see, not that this matters, but is that the second squad that you would see having two statues?
If I'm putting him in, it's gonna You just heard my argument for LA, right? You just heard my argument for LA having both of those players out there, but whew, I'll just say they 2-3. I don't know how I would. I have to go back and really, really think about this now.
Yeah,
But they're definitely 2-3. And I think we're bringing it up. We're going to eventually get there. I mean, it just the dominoes have started to fall a little bit. The ball is rolling. I think
right.
we're going to get there with the double up at some point as people get them.
That would be cool.
We know for a fact, it's without question. When it's all said and done, Asia's gonna get one. Asia Wilson. And
Of
think about
course, she
all
could,
she's
she could get
done.
one now,
Yeah, all she's done, and she's only 28 years old.
which is nuts.
At 28 years old, they accomplished everything she's accomplished.
Yep.
Um, Potential, and we got a long way to go because she's still got to put that ring on her finger. But if you're talking about potential, maybe FISA had to nail down a couple of championships. She gonna because the talent is there. We ain't even gonna talk about the talent. You don't want any parts here on either side of the court, right?
At all.
It's just they just got to get those. They just got to get that ring, And what happened to them last year? This, we'll see what type of fuel they gives, and maybe she can get the first one this year. Think did I see something? I think they 10-0 at home or something like that.
Yeah,
I remember
10-0
that
at home and 6-2 on the road, I believe.
that last team that did that won the championship.
And they're 16-2. Next closest is New York Liberty, and the Liberty have like 5 losses, and then
Mm-hmm.
I think Phoenix has 6. I think
I'm
Phoenix
glad,
has 6.
I'm glad you said that. Let me flip the channel. They trying to play Seattle right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting, man. And then of course, my last one. What do you think is going to happen with your girl, your people, Stewie? We talk about the titles that she won back in Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if she wins, if she's fortunate to win another one in New York, because she got 2 in Seattle, right? Yeah, 2 in Seattle.
Yeah.
1 in New York. Imagine if she wins another one in New York.
Right, but
Now we know both teams gonna retire the jersey. That's gonna happen.
yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do about the statue? That's the thing. Does she need to win 3 in New York? Because I'm quite sure that Seattle probably thinking, yeah, we got into serious consideration. We still need to come up here next.
Wait, is there a WNBA Hall of Fame?
Now, the only thing we got right now is the Naismith.
Okay. So that's what, because that's a whole different ball game.
And Naismith, we taking the totality of your career for the most. We got college.
Right, that's college,
Yeah.
Olympics, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
UConn dominated the joint.
Yeah, right. They have a whole wing, the UConn wing of that joint. UConn wing, Tennessee wing.
Look, they mess around. You remember when they tell you used to go to, was it either Disneyland or Disney World, whatever, and they say you can't do it all in one day?
Yeah.
You go down there with your family, right? And you're looking at the agenda. All right, so we got a couple of days here. So I think we're gonna do the we might as well do the UConn side today. And then we'll come back and finish out the tour for the rest of the hall tomorrow. Y'all gonna do that? Okay.
Right. Yeah. So what do you do as Seattle? Well, I would like to say that Stewie could have a statue in both. Like she might be at this point, she might be the one to have a statue in both, if that was a thing. And I'm saying maybe not today, but 3 years from now, that she could have a statue in both. She could definitely have a statue. Definitely strong. Definitely a strong. But she could have a statue in Seattle. And if she does even more in New York, all right. I just don't want to be giving out statues But
No, I
student,
don't either. But it seems to me what's funny with me with her is dope as she is. I think Seattle. It's like she's 1-2 in Seattle.
yeah.
So I have no problem whatsoever saying, oh, we're going to go ahead and honor her too. And this said it's just the statue aspect of. I know Bird had the longer career there, but and now she said, okay, I'll give you that, right? But it almost seems like to me that she would probably have to win more in New York. So I don't know if 2 is the definite. That
Why you say that?
it's just a feeling. And I'm not, look, if they came back and she wins the second one, they say they're gonna give it. Okay, you know me, I'm not New York, baby. Do your thing. Put her in there.
Right.
I don't know. It just feels like the jersey definitely going up there. But it's just a matter of, I don't know, it's just a feeling. Now maybe they go out and win another they win one. I might feel a little bit differently, but it almost feels like for me it's like a third would have to do it.
I get it.
Yeah, just a feeling. It's just a feeling. Maybe because she didn't start there, if that's the thing. I don't know. It's just crazy.
Yeah, when you move somewhere else, things start to look different.
Because a lot of these people, we talking about longevity. We talking about Tarasi. You know what I'm saying? We talking about Catchings. Lisa Leslie. We talking about these players. Sue Bird, of course. Coop and Swoops played for other teams later, but they were right there at the beginning of the league. So that's a little different. They dominated.
Yeah.
So interesting enough, man. They said that the guy that's doing Sue Bird's statue, it should come out pretty good though, because if you remember, he did the Ken Griffey statue, he did the Edgar Martinez statue, and he did the Lenny Wilkins statue. And in my opinion, those statues came out pretty good.
Oh, so he should be straight then. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what they're saying. So interesting enough, man. Interesting enough. You got anything else on these women, man? We about to jump into some music.
Wait. Did we talk about if? Oh, yeah. We got to talk about it. If the whole conversation of Indiana being better without Caitlin Clark versus.
Yeah, let's do it.
So the argument now that the Fever have played well, even though they just lost to the Sparks last night, right? But the argument has been because they won the Commissioner's Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Although, if you watched the game and you saw them down by 10 early, you were scratching your head like, this is going to go terribly. This is going to go terribly wrong. But they turned it around and put something tough on Minnesota. But the argument has been suddenly, and also you're adding in beating the Aces bad, making the Aces look bad, and the Aces are already looking bad. But some people are saying that the Fever are better or play better without Caitlin Clark, look better, play better, are better without Caitlin Clark than they are with Caitlin Clark. So I was just curious, what were your thoughts on that?
Well, I've seen them play better without Caitlin Clark play very well without Caitlin Clark on the court. I've seen before last night. Look at the game before then. There have been games where offensively they've been very good defensively. Lexi and them been D'ing up, but it just feels like Aaliyah Boston. Now, granted, Aaliyah's had some decent games, some good games with Caitlin playing,
right?
But the rest of the squad, Tiffany Mitchell looking for her shot, a whole lot more. The one thing nobody's talking about is Erin McDonald, which is still the craziest thing to me ever when you and I talk about all the time how players just come off the street. It's just to stay the lead and have that much of an impact, right?
Definitely.
And we've seen it twice with her when she came in on the hardship, then they had to waive her, and then she's come back. And whether she giving that crazy dish, playing good defense across half court, getting a timely bucket. Like Erin McDonald's she's been great. Like she has been great. And I'm still baffled on how teams I know how the system works and who you can and can't sign and the money, but nobody tried to go snatch her after that first go round. What they saw, you know, when they saw
Hmm.
it happen, when they had to, release her temporarily, after that contract. But I've seen that team look a whole lot different without Caitlin Clark. And I'm not going to say they're a better team without Caitlin Clark, but there's been some games that they've been dominating. Like they've been dominating on both sides of the court, man. Now, last night, of course, people are quick to point out, well, see, y'all talking about what's better, and here they lose to the Sparks of all teams. Well, things happen. Sparks was cooking last night. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a positive for them that they are able to play games where they don't necessarily need Caitlin Clark out there and not just win games but play well. I'm not buying the whole deal they're going to do. That's something you would want to see the entirety of the season.
Right.
What's going to be interesting is when Clark comes back, which at this point, even though Stephanie said it's just that we just want to be sure and said that she's close to coming back, I'm beginning to wonder, are we really going to see her back before the All Star at this
Right.
point? That's what I'm wondering. But
Especially if they're playing well
yeah,
and they're rolling. Yeah, it's interesting. Uh, I'm like, you can't normally take away what is perceived as your best player and play better. Like, but we've seen seasons, like some seasons, not Minnesota, Milwaukee Bucks haven't played as well with Giannis when he's been out. But there were some seasons in there where they played well when Giannis was out.
yeah,
It happened multiple seasons, and that's when Chris Middleton was pretty much leading the squad as far as getting buckets anyway. But yeah, they played well and they played defense. So they played well. I just think I think they're different without Clark because the focus isn't on her,
yeah,
which is a positive. It's not like, okay, like they were bad the season before Clark came, but it was Aaliyah Boston's first season. She was rookie of the year, and Kelsey Mitchell was out there doing everything. She dribbling around in circles and firing and like it looked like a lot, but they were a bad team altogether. They've gotten a lot better
true.
uh overall with Clark, but also overall. Then you go into this season where they pick up a couple of veterans who can get buckets, play defense, whatever the case may be, even though DeWanna Bond is now gone. But still the team improved. They made the playoffs, and now they got better players. So they should play well. Um, this is a moment where Clark, I think it's going to be blamed on Stephanie White if it goes bad, and it'll be credited to Clark if it goes well. But there's got to be uh, uh, a meeting of can I take over? Where can I try to take over if that's what I want to do, and where can I share the rock? And that's a tough place to figure out, especially when you're used to just doing whatever you want to do. I can go down here and shoot from wherever, whenever, off a pick from 30, from 25, uh, and I still get my assists. James Harden ish, James Harden ish,
Yeah,
but I think maybe they look better. Maybe they look better. I can't say they are better without her, but she is also, a defensive liability, a turnover liability. And if you take away the turnovers and you add some defense, it's not like you got slouches. So yeah, you still gonna look good. You still gonna look good. But like you said, I don't think in the long term. But listening to you say it, I'm like, well, maybe they would be all right in the long term. I don't know if that's something they'd sign up for, but maybe they could be just as good in the long term with McDonald and the difference in defense and less turnovers. Maybe they could. Maybe they could.
I think if we don't, I'm gonna be honest with you now though. Even there'll be some ups and downs. If Clark didn't come back the rest of this season, from what I've seen when they are out there balling, I still think it's a playoff team.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think this team is definitely a playoff team because
No doubt.
if this season hasn't showed us anything else before the Caitlin Clark injury, and definitely after her being in and out, Aaliyah Boston is different. And I talked to you a couple of weeks ago. To me, I've watched her ascend from when she was rookie of the year. Then the next year she got a little bit better. This year, she's playing the best I've ever seen her play. Ever. Like you can go back to even when she was in college. Ever. Part of the reason is probably dedication. Doesn't help that she's definitely, if you look at her body, she's in definitely better shape. She's in definitely better shape. She takes this stuff seriously. And she is balling.
Yeah.
And I think that she, in the way that team is constructed with Hull and Cunningham and Spitz, definitely, McDonald's making a point to get her to rock.
Right.
She is making it a point to get her the basketball. One of the first looks she gets when she comes, before she passes it off. I think this is still definitely a playoff team. How this thing unfolds once Clark comes back, we're gonna watch this chemistry thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna watch this chemistry thing.
So you bringing back Clark, and you're still without Bonner for whatever that was worth at the time. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be interesting to see. But yeah.
So Indiana, we'll see what they do. I just hopefully Clark don't come back and still be struggling. That's a whole nother joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, if she gonna come back, at least I ain't even say she gotta come out here and go for 30, but she gotta look okay. If she comes back and especially before the All-Star break, and we get to struggling going in the All-Star, like,
right.
What's the conversation then?
Yep.
It's been more than 3 games now. I mean, I don't. All right, so we shall see.
Yep.
We shall see. Let's get into some music, man. I'm not gonna make this long because I know we're gonna get to the mixtape. But last week we were talking about some lyrics, right? And I pretty much gave my favorite, most of my favorite lyrics or things that every time I hear them, there's a line or a verse or something that is just crazy to me. And I don't know if I brought up the obvious or not last week, of course, of Guru and lemonade is a popular drink, right? Everybody, that's my joint, man. That's my joint. But there was a couple of more out there that I thought about that I had either written down last week or I had thought about this week. So one of them was your boy 3000, man. Your boy 3000 out there on the International Players Anthem. When my man said, I'm so like a pimp, I'm glad it's night. Like, okay. I see you, Andre. That joint got me. And then the other day, I was thinking about your man's, the Funk Dr. Spock, man. My man Redman is crazy. This man said, and this would be my joint too. He said, "Are there any more? No, are there any imitators left in the, any what is it? Any imitators in the house? There are no. Bust like NBA jams, and you can be Chicago."
Yeah.
And I remember hearing, I was like, "Hold on." But what's crazy about that verse? I don't know if you ever thought about this when he hit that verse back then. But back then, you probably thought about it because it was around within the same year or so. When he says that, you think about an NBA Jam on those Chicago Bulls squad. There wasn't Michael Jordan on NBA Jam. Remember, they had the licensing issue with him and Nike.
Right.
So that team was Scottie Pippen and Horace
Grant. Yeah.
Horace Grant. And then if you remember later, there was a version, I think it came out, there was a player that had crazy attributes. I can't remember if they added it. When the game first hit, he wasn't there. Then they added it later, and then to the arcade joint, or when it came about. But remember, later they added a player, as they say, a player or whatever. They had attributes similar to Michael Jordan without it really being Michael Jordan. That was like later on, right? But the first iteration of the game, it was Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen.
Yep. My man, shout out to my man Reg. He got the mini he got
The
the
game,
mini game in the joint. Like what is the joint called? Like Putt Putt used to have the games in the
the
joint.
arcade, the stand-up
The
arcade game,
small he had the small
small
arcade
one.
joint.
Yeah,
Uh with NBA Jam.
that is crazy, man. I think the only thing that I really thought about too, man, here recently, and I ain't even gonna go through a bunch. I'm gonna make this my last one because I can bring up a lyric on any show. But I was thinking about my man, rest in peace, Big L, when he said, I'm so ahead of my time, my parents haven't even met yet." Big L was crazy. But you could do a whole show of Big L by itself,
Right, for
like
real.
with the punchlines. But shout out to Big L and the whole DITC for shout out to my man, Lord Finesse, man. Out here doing this thing. I was in the rewatching the joint with him and OC the other day, on the Tiny Desk. If
Oh
you
yeah.
don't have a DITC playlist, do yourself a favor and make yourself a DIT playlist on your phone, man. That's also one of my favorite playlists that I got. DITC alone, the playlist is crazy.
Right.
That you can make out of your personal favorites, man. But Big L, what's up with something else,
Yes, sir. Shout out to Big L. Rest in peace. Life lifestyles of the poor and dangerous.
man? You got anything, man? Lyrically?
I have one. I have one. I I would love to read this whole song. I would love to read this whole song. I'm not gonna do it though. But I would read this whole song, and because the whole song is crazy. The whole song is punchy. You know what I mean? But I will give you this. I might read the first verse, but I'm gonna give you this one. At any rate, brothers gain interest because I loaned the microphones. They couldn't house it, so they had to rent their own. At any rate, brothers gain interest because I loaned the microphone. They couldn't house, so they had to rent it. Whoa, what? That is ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Prime. I just want to read the first verse. I'm gonna read the first verse. I'm gonna read the first verse. All right. Marx. I erase like racism. I'm as large as a bigot. I'm as large as a bigot. Brew is my escapism. When I'm bubbly, I just kick it. Brew is my escapism. When I'm bubbly, I just kick it. What I need from you is understanding that I'm standing on my own too, down with my own crew. Told cancer I'm bad to the bone too. I'm prone to snap off. When I'm off that cognac, I can't hold back. I can't hold back like a masseuse. I get loose like a screw turned from left, right to tight. Dissected. I'm on some hot. No, no, no. I'm sorry. I skipped a line. I should have just rhymed it because I know the song. I should have just rhymed it. I'm trying to read it. Right to tight. When it's time for some action, I get red. Tonight's the night. An eye for an eye, a life for what's right. Dissected. I'm on high tech ish. Computers want to bite. Dissected. I'm on high tech ish. Computers, but all right. Your style is Pascal. We're not done with the computer joint. Your style is Pascal. Mine is basic and just instinct. I went to fam and ran scams. Me and Murray got up on big links. If knowledge is the key, I'm the locksmith. Studied the missionary waiting on my let me see. If not, I just give I'm the locksmith. Studied the missionary waiting on my life. The mic I rush like bosses. Like no, that's not right. So I rush like bosses. But anyway, I switch styles like a channel with controls that is remote. Engage with a page and with words I elope. Walking down aisles with styles I freak a vow. That tie knots when I rocks. That tie knots when I rocks like a Z28. I rock Z. I'm not pointing this out to you, Prime. I'm just saying that I rocks like a Z28. At any rate, brothers gained interest because I loaned the microphones. They couldn't house the ish, so they had to rent their own. It's like that. Coming from the Go rapper. I wanna Jada Pinkett and that Patra. So keep on and you don't. That is common sense. Common sense on some ish I wrote. That is stupid. That is stupid. Somebody told me Common couldn't rhyme one time. He was like, Common's not a good rapper. I'm like, are you stupid? What are you talking about? What are you talking? What? Anyway, yeah, that joint is just dumb. That joint is just dumb.
I had to get myself together, dog.
That joint is crazy. That joint is crazy.
In certain jokes, in certain times I can hear a dope line that I think is crazy, a dope verse, something quick, and it blows my mind. But sometimes they're like literally whole verses, or sometimes whole songs that just I can't explain. I can't
Yeah,
explain it. That's one of them. That's one.
yeah,
I get feelings about when I hear that. The same feeling I get when again, lyrics of fury.
right.
Because that if you catch stuff and you don't catch it and you catch it, but you go back and dissect that joint, it's just ridiculous, man.
See, that's what I was talking about. Remember, I said
Woo, woo.
that the Resurrection
Yeah,
album.
yeah.
Listening to that joint 6 months later, and I was still like, what is he? Did he say this? Did he mean this? Or did he mean? Yeah, crazy,
Woo.
craziness.
That's dope. And man, damn. That messed me all up, man. I'm messed up with that joint.
You know what's interesting as well, Brian?
What?
That is a verse from 1994.
Shoot, so is the Red Man verse. That's 94. That's 94. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, interesting.
Are there any imitators left? There are no. Bust like NBA jams and you can from Chicago. Wow.
Funky like a bag of bravos.
Speaking of 94, so speaking of 94 though, let's get to this here mixtape. So I've been thinking about this a lot, right? I've been thinking about this a whole lot. And I'm like, man, I'm always talking to Source about my playlists, my mixtapes. I just make one off of GP depending on how I'm feeling. Sometimes it's flooded with hits. Sometimes it's flooded with lesser known or lesser celebrated songs. Sometimes I do a combination of both. And I'm a big proponent of riding in a car, listening to music. I'll make up trips to places just to get in the car. I ain't been here in a minute. I got no money. I ain't got no spend. I'm gonna ride out here anyway. I got gas, and I'll make a mixtape. So I thought about this. I say, look, let's each of us go in, make our own mixtape. Just say you was taking a trip. I don't know. Maybe you just riding down with your family, about to start a trip down to Williamsburg or something to go to Outlet, or you may be going down to Norfolk. You say, and they was like, "What y'all want to hear?" Well, you got it, Dad. And you just say, you know what? I'm gonna play what I want to play, right? So I figured the way we do it, we'll come out 12 strong on this one. And I do one, you do one. It might be the possibility that we got a same song on here.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get to
Right.
20.
And if
I think we're
somebody
gonna
go ahead and pop out, you might be surprised by mine because I took a different. I started out one way. I decided to take a smaller bit of approach. I'm gonna tell you why I did it. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you from the start. I was gonna wait, but I'm gonna tell you from the start for me.
Okay.
I started out with a lot of the obvious stuff, and I was like, two things are gonna happen. One, it's a possibility with 94 being argued in a lot of people's eyes as the best year in hip hop. And there was some bangers and some obvious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a possibility that Source and I might come out with 5 or 6, maybe 7 of the same songs.
Quite possibly, yeah.
But you know me, and a lot of my favorite songs, I don't do it to be different. A lot of the songs I listen to the most are not always the obvious stuff or the hits.
Yeah.
You know, there's some gems on these albums. Or might be a song, I'm the only person that's going to talk about it, but I like the song, and I play it a lot. So that led me to take out probably 3 or 4 songs easy off my list. So I'm going to tell you now, to start this, to surprise you, for me, I decided to go ahead the last minute. I removed everything Illmatic from my list because I removed everything Ready to Die, and I removed everything Southern Playalistic. And I did that because, you know, that's my favorite Outkast album. Because I knew my thought process was not this Source and I might have a bunch of the same songs, just that point. But knowing me, if I get in the car and I put one of those 3 on, it ain't gonna be no mixtape. I'm gonna probably listen to the whole album. That's just, I'm not changing this, man.
Right.
Life is coming up, you know. It ain't hard to tell coming up. So I decided to rework my list, and I removed anything from those 3 albums. All right. So I'm gonna come out. A couple of these Jones gonna probably be like, Prime, you picked this. How did you even come up with this song, man? Like, over all this other greatness in 94. But it's just I feel like hearing it that day, you know what I'm saying, today. So I'm riding. So I'm going to the outlet. So I'm gonna swing with the first one. I'm gonna give you my first one, and then you give me one.
All right.
This is a song you would never thought of, probably. And I don't even know the last time you even heard this song. Nobody even thought about this song but Prime. But I'm gonna go with Dig a Bigger Ditch by DFC. Remember that?
Yeah.
Crazy. The reason it came up because I was looking for something else about a week ago, and I was searching for it, and I forgot what I was looking for. So when I found what I was looking for, I thought I was going to play the song. I continued to let it play through suggestions, and that song came on. After that, I'm like, I ain't heard this in a minute. I ain't gonna lie. I used to vibe to this joint though. DFC didn't make anything else notable that most of us would know about outside of Flint, Michigan. Right. But that was my joint. And so I'm riding in the car, Dig a Bigger Ditch come on. I'm bumping. I'm gonna turn the radio up a little bit. So that's what I went with number 1. What you got?
Okay. All right. So my approach was I was thinking that the original idea was to go with personal songs, like your jams, your joints. But
You can.
I didn't. I went with the obvious joints. Cause it was so crazy. I'm like, you don't need for me to even go to what I want to hear. Cause it's so many joints that I could just go with the obvious joints and it's still gonna be crazy. Even though I might not play a couple of these songs ever. I might always skip these joints because we heard them so much on the radio and on BET, Rap City, on, MTV, all that. So I got some of them.
All right.
My first song, even though I went with mostly the obvious joints, this particular one, I grabbed another song off the album. You mentioned Illmatic. I grabbed Illmatic, but I didn't go with It Ain't Hard to Tell. I didn't go with The World Is Yours. I went with Life's a B, featuring AZ.
Yeah, Dopeness, of course. And that would have, I contemplated when I was doing it the other way, of course, that was the second song that would have been there, of course. But But I ain't gonna mention the other one unless you come by. I'll tell you.
Nah,
You
nah.
probably
I know what it was. I already know what it is.
already
That's your jam.
yeah, you
Straight
already
off
know.
the rip of the album, like immediately.
Off top, just from
Yeah.
the beginning. Um, so Life's a Beat. That's dope. That's dope for sure. That's definitely riding to that. Now my joint, my mixtapes got like a crazy feel because I'm jumping all over the place. Sometimes I want to set a mood. Sometimes I just want to hear music.
Right.
So sometimes you listen to DJs and they spinning old stuff. It's not they don't always set a mood. Sometimes they just bumping what's out there. Oh, I remember that. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So mine is all over the place. Not only is it all over the place in the type of song, the mood, who made it, also what coast is on. I'm all over the place with mine, but I love riding in the car listening to Big Pimpin'. I love listening to Big Pimpin'. Straight Off the Murder Was the Case soundtrack. Big Pimpin'. The first time I ever heard that song, I was like, that's on fire.
Yes.
Yeah,
On
so,
in the movie.
in the movie. Yep. Yeah. So I went with Big Pimpin'.
Love that.
Is a second song I'm adding to my mixtape. What you got?
Okay. All right. You went to the West. Can I go to the West? I ain't gonna go to the West. I'm gonna go outside of New York. I'll go with the artist I was just talking about. And I dropped the verse from. And we'll go with the obvious on this one. I Used to Love Her by Common Sense.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Fire Hall of Fame stuff right there. When that comes on to not that I'm a forward through a lot of hip hop, but I don't care what I'm doing. When I'm watching something, if we're going somewhere, when that comes on, I gotta listen to the whole song, bro. I gotta listen to the whole song. You know what I'm saying? If I'm playing it and I got to walk out the room for something real quick, I'm gonna come back and start the joint again. You know what I'm saying? And that's real talk. I'm not exaggerating. I used to love her. I still love her. I love this song. So Pure Genius by Common there.
Yes, sir.
Let's see what we got here. All right, number 3 for me, pretty obvious. I alluded to a line from it earlier on the last we were talking about verses. I gotta get that happy, that jumping feel going when I'm in the whip, man. So yep, lemonade is a popular drink and it still is. I went with Dwick from the Hard to Earn album for sure. Dwick always gets me jumping.
All right, so I'm gonna cross Dwick out on my list. Boom.
Okay.
It's out of there. I think I'll go with Keith Murray. The most beautifulest thing in this world. When that joint came out, that joint was crazy. You like, who is this rando dude rapping on top of a car? He rapping on the hood of a car. Not rando dude, not rando dude, but
Yeah.
rando dude. But he was like, who is this dude rapping on top of a car? He's standing on a Lexus. Why are you standing on a Lexus? Get off the Lexus. But yeah, that was a joint. That joint was crazy. Everybody loved that joint.
So I am going to, and it's crazy because I can tell you now because it didn't make my list, but I contemplated putting the Herb is Pumping on it. That was my joint on that album. No, Tip Tip Die was too, but that was my joint right there. So I contemplated
Socialite.
putting that there.
I dip
So
down in
nice.
the place. Yeah.
Next up, I'm gonna change the whole mood of the album off top, and I don't know if it's on your list or not. So Stassi, he probably gonna put it on this list, but I'm gonna put it out there anyway. I'm changing the whole mood on the whole album because it got to be some ups and downs and some smooth out. But I went with your peeps. I went with Searching from the Main Ingredient album, Pete Rock and CL Smooth.
Look at that. Look at that. See, I ain't even have to list it. I ain't even listed. I didn't list that. I didn't list anything from the album because, like I said, I was going with the
Yep.
more obvious joints.
Yep.
But of course, that would have been at the top of my list.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And that's my joint. That is my joint. I want to say rest in peace to this artist. Uh, the remix gets more love than the original. But the original was cracked though. Like the remix happened because the original was cracked. Rest in peace, Craig Mack.
Yeah.
Flavor in your ear.
Yeah. Yep. And I toyed with that as well. And that's an obvious banger. That's an obvious banger, first original and the remix itself. But um, I was going back and forth with that one too because that's obvious. But I also on that album, which I didn't put on, man, I also like making moves apart. That was my joint.
Making moves. And can I get down?
Get on down. Can I get down? Yeah, fire. Nice
Yes,
list right
sir.
there. Nice
Yep.
list. Next up, I kind of stayed in the vibe though a little bit. This ain't gonna be on nobody's list but mine, but this is real. And you know me when I tell you what it is, like, well, yeah, that's prime right there. Um, I went to the Blowout Comb album, right? I'm going with Jetton, Diggable Planets. That's my joint.
See, that,
Jetton.
now I want to go back and just do my own joint for myself.
Oh, don't worry, we're gonna continue to do. We're gonna do 95. I almost started this joint with 88. I said, no, that's obvious. All I talk about is 88, 89. Which we're gonna do an 88 joint at some point too.
Mm,
But I said, know what? We're gonna start at the heart. We're gonna start at 94, since that's the year everybody talks about, and then we'll get 95 in and 88 in, and all that stuff.
amazing.
88 I thought would be good because I remember you said that even though you know music before then, that was 88 was around about that time when you heard, my philosophy and all that stuff. Um, so yep.
Yeah, it's a great year. It's a great
Yep.
year.
All
So
right.
what?
So
So I'm up to number 5 on my
yep.
end. One of my favorite songs. Uh, everybody loves this beat. Uh, Not as many people talk about the album. The album was dope. Some people think the artist's second album, which dropped in '97, was better than this one. I think it's close, but Omar Creedle, aka OC, Time's Up. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, that's my
Dope
joint.
pick, and I'm not even gonna replace it, but that's I got that. That's on mine as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it where it is. I got that. I had that down on my list as well. So that was one. I already knew. I said when I was removing stuff and moving around, I said I'm gonna leave a couple of these on, and I said I know for a fact. I said, so it's gonna have this joint
Definitely.
on there. So, yep. So, um, I just come back to that was mine as well. So I'm gonna go with Time Is Up on mine as well. So that's dope. So we're gonna swing it back to you again then. So we both got that one on there. So go back and go again.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go with a joint that was an artist. Well, it was on he was on album by an artist that you already mentioned, and then he dropped his solo, and this was like one of the craziest songs of the year. Same as Time's Up, but this one had Onyx on the hook
Mm.
talking about some J. Rue the
You
Damager,
do the damage.
come clean.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Another
Yes, sir.
banger, like crazy banger.
That John Bang to this day.
Yes,
That's somebody play that
sir.
point, man.
Hmm.
I can imagine being up in one of them all the noise Jones and Lonnie and somebody drop that joint. I know they go crazy in that joint, man. Dope. I'm gonna swing it back to the West Coast again.
Okay.
West Coast again. I can see me going down the highway now, bumping "What Would You Do" from the Murder Was the Case soundtrack.
Mm,
Um, once again, so you did the Murder of the Case soundtrack getting plenty of love, and there's actually another 2 or 3 songs off that I could have put on there. That I didn't. Rest in peace, CPO, and Yulia is my joint. But yeah, but on my mixtape, yeah, I'm going. What would you do? The Murder Was the Case soundtrack.
word. I'm gonna go with my next one. It's gonna be, since you went West Coast, I'm gonna go West Coast. It is the song that created or led to the album that saved Def Jam. And when you've already mentioned Above the Rim, it's Warren G featuring the late Nate Dogg, Regulate. Nate Dogg
Regulate.
and Warren G had to
Yep.
regulate.
It's crazy. See, when we get above the rim and murder was the case in the same year.
Murder was the case that they gave.
People don't talk. We always talk about how great Above the Rim soundtrack was. A lot of people say that was their favorite or the best when it comes to hip
Mhm.
hop. But Murder with the Case was fire too. Like
Absolutely.
it's crazy. We get both of those in the same day. I mean, that was fire. Natural Born Killers, all that stuff.
Hey,
So
big back to Big Pimpin'. Big Pimpin' was my joint though. Dog.
yeah,
That joint was the first time I heard it in the movie. Like you said, I was like, "Yo, what is that?" That's what I said. What is that? What
oh,
is that?
I was at the park one day. Dude, I was like, yo, what's that? And that's when I knew. When I saw, I was like, yo, I gotta find this. I knew sitting in the movie theater when we watched it, I had to find this. And of course, when I got the tape, that was like, as soon as you heard, that's it, you know. But yeah. Where'd you first see that movie? Did we talk about it
Midlothian,
when we did Run It Back?
Midlothian Cinema.
Yeah, I saw. We saw it in. You remember the joint? Remember the joint that used to be off of Forest Hill?
Yeah, Russell.
Westover. Yeah, I saw it at Westover. I never forget that. I saw it at Westover. And then knew immediately when we left, we got to find this song. We got to find it. They got to sound it. I got to find this. So,
Yeah, that joint was crazy.
all right. So next one, without a doubt, I got to get back on the streets a little bit. I, I went with the White Sheet by Scarface on the Diary album. Yeah,
Mm,
that joint right there. That's a lot of genius by Scarface out there, but that joint right there. Especially my line when my man said I've been to more wakes in the past year than the Bengals lost last year. And I'm like, God, and back then the Bengals were terrible. So, yeah, I got to have some Scarface on my road trip.
Here comes the white
Yeah,
sheets.
rat a tat tat.
So you mentioned Scarface. Now, if I was picking from the diary, for me personally, I'm going Jesse James.
Yes.
That's my joint. But I did take a song from the diary. Like I said, I was going with the more obvious ones
Uh-huh.
for the people. So I went with I Seen a Man Die.
Dope. One of the most legendary songs out there.
Yeah.
That video crazy too. All right. So you notice the theme here. I never till I started thinking about this, doing this for the 94, it just didn't dawn on me. Like nobody talks about the West Coast as much. When we talking about 94, we talking mostly like New York and the New York guys, the New York albums, more than anything else, right?
Mhm.
And I'm sitting there doing this list and I'm sitting there thinking about how many West Coast songs I got on this mixtape. Like it's crazy. I'm just not putting it together. I was really listening to that much West Coast in '94. Like I was
Mhm.
like that.
Heavy.
But as a similar theme, and we stand on soundtracks. Once again, we talk about from the soundtrack. I love a good disc record. So dollars and cents.
It don't
DJ
make
Quick.
dollars. It don't
Don't
make
make
sense.
yeah. And I've really been in my head too because I've been seeing a lot of DJ Quick lately on social media lately.
Yeah,
He's done a couple of shows. He's been he got honored somewhere too, but he's doing a couple of shows. Like shout out to DJ Quick, man. But this was the joint.
for
Of
sure.
course,
Oh
of
yeah,
course.
he was on stage with him short and
Yep, yep. Short was giving him his flowers.
him short and Scarface. Yeah,
Scarface.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Um, not that and don't get it twisted. Not and it didn't make my list. Not that I didn't really like it. Become Strap album by MC8 because that's to me that album it's fire. I remember the time when that first came out. I don't think I would take it out of the deck for a minute. That joint was so fire. So production was crazy on that one. But
Right.
yeah, Dollars and Cents by DJ Quick.
Okay. Okay. All right. So next, I'm gonna go with. Let me get one of the ladies in here. Shout out from the 60644.
Oh, yeah.
Moved down to ATL. Shouted the Brat. We're gonna go with Funkified.
Want the fat. Dope. Dope right there. You know, lay that on the map.
Yeah,
That was such a vibe, man. That was such a vibe. That song.
mm-hmm.
That's just the vibe was crazy. That's
Shout
chilling
out
out.
to Jermaine Dupri, man. Jermaine Dupri doesn't get the credit he deserves from a lot of people. I saw somebody try to like, oh, he does songs for kids. I'm like, dog, he created stars out of the out of nothing, out of
Mhm.
nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Jermaine Dupri. But yeah, the Brat.
Jermaine Dupri fits into that category again that we know he meant a lot to hip hop and R&B.
Mm-hmm.
A lot, and then somebody will be like, "Hey, we're going to, you out there DJing, and someone do all so deaf for a minute, and you get to spinning the songs, and you remember all the obvious stuff. Then you dig a little deeper, and you still sitting here like, bruh,
Yeah,
bruh,
it's a lot.
or
It's a
something
lot
you
of
forgot, Oh, I think they like me, and like, like, wait a minute, he had a hand in that too,
yeah, man.
you know. So that's crazy.
You
So
wanna dance?
man, that's
I'm
yeah.
gonna make you dance. I got a
I've been on my,
feeling.
I've been on my Mariah kick lately too. I
Oh yeah.
love Mariah. I got Mariah. Another one of my favorite playlists. And remember he did multiple joints with Mariah, but remember the Sweetheart joint?
Yep.
We can share a story. But yeah, I was like, yeah, Jermaine hit on this joint. Like this joint get me jumping now. Like yeah, very underrated, man. Jermaine Dupri, man. And it's crazy saying that the people know he meant a lot, but hey, Jermaine is that dude.
Definitely.
Um, so I'm up.
Yep.
So this one I got to return to one of the again to a album that I've already mentioned before, but I just love this joint. So they say I'm 63 inches above sea level, 93 million miles above these devils. Got to go with Knife Wonder on the Blowout album. And my girl Ladybug and I'm out there spitting. So shout out to Diggable Planets and that Knife Wonder joint.
Ladybug Mecca.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So
Jazzy Joyce.
yeah, that's my joint, man. I play this joint so we get off the show.
Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm going with the song Knife Wonder by Diggable Planets off the Blowout joint. That's on I'm riding to that.
Cool. I'm gonna go Midwest one time. I've been Midwest a couple times actually. I'm gonna go Midwest one more time. A different vibe. That's right. First joint we saw from Bone Thugs and Harmony for
Mm.
real. Thuggish Ruggish Bone. And Tasha.
Yeah, that joint had a whole different feel to it, like just the whole song.
Yeah,
Production
just
was crazy. Just to come on, you gonna stop and listen to it, like everything. It was crazy.
in the video, you know, it kind of had the same effect that Protect Your Neck had. You're like, what is going on with this video? Because they had
Yeah,
the numbers at the bottom and all that for the Woo joint, but the Bone joint was just totally different, unexpected.
yeah,
And then they were from Cleveland, so you was already like, what is happening? So, but yeah, dope joint.
for sure. Next up for me, well, we already mentioned it last segment. It was Rockefeller on Day of the Dark Side.
Hmm.
Red Man. So that the verse I was quoting by NBA jams, and I got to go with Rockefeller. It's a couple of other joints from that joint that could have made my list for real, but what it looked like. That's my choice too.
What it look like, sucker?
Yeah, but that definitely the Rockefeller joint always had me vibe. That's a joint I actually used to um always repeat. And that's
Hmm.
a joint. So I'm going with Rockefeller on Day of the Dark Side by Red Man.
Okay. Well, I feel obligated to to have one of the greatest albums of all time mentioned. I know you said you dropped it out of your listing, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw a song from uh, "Ready to Die" on my list.
Okay.
Now I wrote down one song, but then I said Nas. I didn't go with the single for Nas. So now I'm changing the song to my favorite song by the Notorious B.I.G., which is Unbelievable.
Okay. I ain't see that one coming.
Yeah, that's my joint right there.
I ain't see that one coming. But that's dope. Unbelievable. Off the Ready to Die album.
Yes, sir. Biggie Smalls is the illest.
Did I count the ready? Did that put you at 12?
I think it's 11.
10, 11. It is 11. You got one more. All right.
Yep.
So this would be my 12 because I did say we both had timers up. So this would be my 12th right here.
Oh, actually, in that case, because I had Dwick, so it is my 12th in
All
that
right, well, if
case.
you got
Yes.
another one, you can spin it. I just didn't put that on this list because the only thing
Gotcha.
that came to mind to me it's a lot of stuff that would probably go back to that shit. I could have did that. I could have did that. But I already gave the shout out to like I say, Eulogy. It's from CPO, the
Hmm.
CPO and the guys on that murder soundtrack. There was a couple of other joints, so I'm gonna leave it at that. But I like that song a lot. But so I'm going to end my tape off as I'm getting ready to pull up in the parking lot to this spot. I'm listening to the
Hmm.
whole song if I got the car. I'm going to go with Suckers Need Bodyguards by Gangstar.
Hmm.
So Gangstar that made my list twice.
Okay.
And I probably should listen to that joint if I'm about to go shopping because I'm going to be so hyped. I ain't going to pay attention to how much money I'm spending.
Right. That's how they get
And I
you.
might not, yeah, you know.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm going with Suckers Need Bodyguard by Gangstar.
Fake
Um,
MCs. They always act hard.
yeah, I got to go with that. So that's gonna be my 12. Did you have another one you want to put out there?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw the other one out there because it's the third one that you said that you took out of your list. The third album that you said you took out of your list,
Mm-hmm.
um, because it was the obvious joints. So I did the other two, so I got to do this one as well. And I did the obvious song. Well, I did one of the obvious songs from Outkast, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music. I went with Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music at first, but since the other two, I went off the grid with my choices. And this is the last song. I'm gonna go with Crumbling Herb.
There you go. There you go. There you
That's
go.
my,
Now that's fine. Now I could have made a whole list. We talking about the herb is pumping, crumbling herb. I mean, yeah, that's a couple of I could have made a whole playlist for real. But yeah, for sure, for sure. Crumbling herb is different, man. It's
yeah.
different. It's definitely a vibe. Um, so sources, you got Life's a Bee. I used to love her. Yeah, my glasses on, my hand right. Um, The Most Beautifulest Thing by Keith Murray. Flavor in Your Ear. Time is Up by OC. We got J. Rue the Damage. Come Clean. You went with Regulate for Warren G. You know. I Seen a Man Die of Scarface. Functified by the Brat. We got the Thuggish Ruggish Bone. We got Unbelievable off the Ready to Die album and Crumbling Herb. That's a dope list. I could definitely ride to that.
Not
And
bad, not bad.
on the recap, um, for me, I'm riding to Dig a Bigger Ditch by DFC, Big Pimpin', Dwick, Searching by Pete Rock and CL Smooth, Jettin' by Diggable Planets, What Would You Do from the Murder Was the Case soundtrack, The White Sheep off the Diary album for my man Scarface, Time Is Up. We both had Time Is Up for OC, Dollars and Cents for DJ Quick from the soundtrack. I went to the Blowout Comb album of Diggable Planets again for Knife Wonder. Rockefeller by Redman for There's a Dark Side album. And then Suckers Need Bodyguards by Gangstar.
Mm.
Dope mixtape, man. Dope mixtape. That was fun. that was fun. So I think what we got to do is at some point. So we're gonna hit a couple of other years over the next few weeks. But I also want to do a. We're gonna do a woman's joint. So we're
Oh
gonna have
yeah.
a joint. We're gonna have one. We're gonna do a mixtape on one of these shows where we're only going to use. We're gonna make a mixtape with only female hip hop artists.
Say less.
Yes, we're gonna do that. So that was fun, man. That was fun on that, man. No doubt, no doubt. Um, Fire list as well. Now you make me want to just vibe a quick joint and find something to do for real. But take a ride, put them in front of somebody's house, and don't necessarily go in and just come back home. So it is what it is, man. That was dope.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap this joint up, man. Um, what else you got out there, man? Anything we need to bring up for the show in?
Uh nah. I mean, Wednesday. Well, I'll be live Monday evening, most likely. And Wednesday is B side for Wednesday. So producers pull up, bring in beats, all that good stuff. Thursday headed up for the Aces and the Mystics game. I don't think I. Oh,
Oh, great.
the July 25th.
Yeah.
We are so three multiple things going on, but it's one thing. I started doing a series called the Source Summer Series where I play some music, uh, do trivia, and it's food. You have a good time out at Laurel Barbershop on the deck. It's free. You pull up. Not the food. The food's not free, but the event is free. You come out, have a good time. This one, July 25th, is going to be an SBP meetup. So if you are in the SBP, pull up, come through, and hopefully we'll have a good number of SBP members show up and have a good time, vibe out with us. It's also, let's see. So it's the Source Summer Series, which is just what it is. It's SBP meetup. It's also a small TikTok meetup for a couple of creators that are in the area or near the area. So they're gonna pull up. So you never know who might pop up, be out that joint. You never know. It might be somebody that you really like if you're on TikTok. If not, that's cool too. It's a SBP meetup. Either way, come out, have a good time. It's from 6, which it's normally 6 to 8. I think this is going to be from 6 to 9, just because there's so much going on, and it gets dark about 9, so we'll shut it down when it gets dark.
Come through, y'all. Come vibe with us. That's gonna be dope. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Definitely looking forward to that. Um, I do have one quick thing. I don't know how this was about to slip past me though. Did you see where they were talking about the possibility of the four of these gentlemen forming a group to make an album?
I did see it.
Yeah. So if the reports are true, I saw it in Vibe and I saw it somewhere else, but I think they copied the same article. If the reports are true, Rakim, KRS, Kane, and of course Cool G Rap are possibly forming a group to at least a super group to make a album. Now it does state in the article that it seems that three of the four are definitely on board. That's from what they're saying, and they're waiting on the fourth. And the only other information they give that there'll be some other notable artists that may have a song or so on the album. And I did hear that one of them is Slick Rick. They may get on the joint. So, um,
That makes
you know,
sense.
hopefully it happens. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it happens, and maybe we'll get more details in the future. If this is true, but we're gonna find out.
Yeah, if this leads to something else, like if it like the album would be cool. It'll be cool. It's fine. I don't know how it's gonna turn out.
Right.
If it's a thing, I don't know. Who knows how to turn out? But just the idea is cool in itself. But even more than that, if there is even if it's just a small tour just a small tour with the four of them, couple joints from the album. Everybody does separate joints as well. That's crazy. That'll be crazy.
Yeah, so that would be dope. I always thought about. I always wanted to see Rakim and possibly KRS do some things,
Yeah.
and I've always said too. I think the dopest thing would happen would be I would love. I wish even if it was just the EP, I would have loved to have something from Nas and Rakim together. I think that would be crazy.
I thought the
Along
same thing recently. I thought the same thing recently. I was like, man, they got to make a song at some point, right? Don't let, I mean, you got one life, but I hate for
especially
the,
the admiration they seem to have for each other. Everybody talked about Rakim, but I remember Rakim talking about Nas,
yeah,
and then when he just talked about Nas, it's like he has genuine admiration for Nas. Like he's a real one when it comes to Nas. So I always thought that would be dope. So we'll see what goes down, man, and hopefully we get something good out of this, and more news comes about. So we'll talk
yes,
about it.
indeed.
Indeed. But other than that, I don't have anything. Anything. I'm just gonna be out here doing whatever, getting finished watching this game, and it is what it is. So we'll catch you in the next one. The next show will either be when we do it, probably be mostly music. We still got a ways to go before we get to football. See, I think we're 10 Sundays away and all that. And of course the talk will ramp up, probably in about a month or so, but it'll be more so music, maybe all music. We do got, WNBA does have the All-Star game come up, so I'm sure there'll be some small chatter about that and what we would like to see in the hope. Because, the list, what's the day? Day the 6th? Yeah, so we should be getting ready to get the list of the reserves for the NBA All-Star game. So we'll be able to find the final list, and of course, with half of the world hoping that Angel Reese gets snubbed.
It's crazy.
So
crazy.
I need them people to do better. Not who they like. I don't care who they like. Just do better of just knowing how this thing works. Because I saw so many people in some of these groups and stuff on social media were just cheering that Angel's name has not been mentioned when they did the list of the starters. They were thinking that was the final list.
Yeah, because
they were talking as if that was the final list, and they're typing. And I'm like, bro. And my guy source say all the time that these guys are not fans. They're not fans. They don't. She didn't make that's why she didn't make it. She probably won't. Somebody she'll never make another one. I'm okay. They don't realize that there's still a reserves list to come up. So if she don't make the reserves list, okay, I have at it. But understand how this thing works. They're gonna play a WNBA game, period. Not just an All-Star game, but a WNBA game with just 10 players.
Yeah, right. We just going 5-on-5. That's it.
So we gonna see. So we'll see when that list comes out. But that's it, man. Appreciate y'all for rocking with us through the sports and the hip hop. That was dope. We'll be back to you soon enough with more sports. Definitely another mixtape, and we're gonna go at it. But until then, we out.
Y'all.